You've probably been called weird, told not to overthink, asked why you always look tired when you're not. Maybe you doodle on everything, can't pick a lunch spot, or argue just for fun. The truth, you're not broken. You might be brilliant. Today, we're breaking down 10 strange habits that actually signal genius thinking. But watch out, when they go too far, they can backfire. For each one, I'll show you the situation, what it looks like to others, what's really going on in your brain, what's the underlying pattern of thinking, what happens when it goes too far, what happens when you suppress it, and finally, how to cope in a world that just wants you to act normal. Let's dive in. Number 1, fidgeting. You're scribbling on a napkin, folding it into a crane, or shaking your leg non-stop during a meeting. To others, it looks like you've got zero attention span or a lack of social etiquette. You may even be seen as untrustworthy. In reality, your brain is keeping itself busy so it can actually focus better. The underlying pattern here is distributed thinking. Geniuses often need side activities to free up mental bandwidth. It's like opening a second browser tab just so the first one doesn't freeze. Among people on the autism spectrum, there's even a term for it: stimming, repetitive movements like flapping arms, rocking, or adjusting shoulders. These behaviors can draw confused or fearful stares, but they're not random quirks. They're the brain's way of regulating itself, releasing tension, and sharpening focus. And let's be clear, this example isn't meant to shame or stereotype any group, nor to say all geniuses are neurodivergent. Instead, it helps us see that what looks like fidgeting, whether folding paper, scratching your arm, tapping a pen, or doodling, is more often than not a sign of thinking in progress. The body keeps itself busy on one channel so the mind can operate freely on another. That's why so many brilliant people seem to have restless hands or feet. The visible twitch is just the brain making space for deeper thought. When it goes too far, well, you might end up origami folding your boss's contract instead of listening to the quarterly report. And if you suppress it, the energy doesn't vanish. It leaks out as restlessness, distraction, or even irritation. Suppression can actually make focus harder, not easier. How to deal with it? Own it. Play with your glasses instead of scratching your arm. Crochet as you speak. Smile and say, "I think better when my hands are moving." Most people will get it, eventually. Number 2, indecision or fickleness. You take 10 minutes staring at the menu, still unsure. Your biggest fear? Friends asking for lunch recommendations. Your food arrives, but your friend's looks better. To others, you are indecisive, opinionless, weak. But what's really happening is that you're simulating multiple futures at once. The pattern here is parallel processing. Geniuses don't see one answer, they see 10, all compelling and equally valid. Most people decide by default. Pick the first decent option, trust their gut, move on. Quick and simple. When you hesitate, it's not because you're dumb or slow. It's because your brain has switched to expert mode, scanning all possible outcomes. If you change your mind, it's because you factored in new information. You're still holding the end goal, just shifting resources. Ordering food? You're not just weighing burger versus pasta. You're simulating portion size, stomach comfort, 3 p.m. energy, price versus yesterday's meal, and even social optics. Buying a phone? Normal mode. I like this one? Done. Expert mode? Camera specs, battery life, resale value, laptop compatibility, switching ecosystems in 2 years, new model next month, color aging badly. This constant cross-checking feels like paralysis, but it's actually parallel computing. You're not indecisive. You're processing layers most people don't even notice. You're not fickle. You're just agile enough to pivot when new data comes in. Indecision and fickle-mindedness aren't the absence of intelligence. They're intelligence running so fast and wide, they jam the process, if not the output. When it goes too far, lunch becomes dinner with the same menu. If you shut it down, you don't become decisive. You just pick at random and stew in regret. The brain keeps rerunning the unchosen options like background apps, draining your battery. Suppress second-guessing despite new insights, and you risk missing a better outcome. The fix? Use a timer. Genius brains need constraints. Or throw dice. Just choose anything, if the consequences are often negligible. Otherwise, you'll still be choosing at your own funeral buffet. Number 3, contrarian thinking. Everyone agrees this is the best way. You immediately want to argue, is it though? The impression you give others, such a contrarian, just disagreeing for the sake of it. What's actually happening is that you're stress testing ideas. If they can survive your questions, they're solid. Anti-herd mentality. Geniuses instinctively challenge consensus to uncover blind spots. They ask, what if we're all wrong? Or, is there a better path nobody is seeing? Contrarian thinking isn't rebellion. It's risk assessment and quality control for ideas. Historical example, Galileo Galilei challenged the widely accepted geocentric model that placed Earth at the center of the universe. At the time, everyone knew Earth was the center. Centuries of philosophy, theology, and observation seemed to confirm it. But Galileo's curiosity and contrarian thinking led him to look closer. Using his telescope, he observed the moons of Jupiter orbiting their planet, the phases of Venus, and the rugged surface of the moon, phenomena that didn't fit the Earth-centered model. He asked, what if the sun is at the center? By stress testing the accepted consensus with evidence, his contrarian questioning overturned centuries of dogma and laid the foundation for modern astronomy. When it goes too far, you're arguing that gravity is just a theory in a physics exam. If you constantly suppress your contrarian instinct, you risk accepting flawed systems or bad decisions. Your brain notices the gaps, but you never voice them, so mediocre solutions prevail. How to deal with it? Pick your battles. Save contrarian mode for big stakes, not for whether pineapple belongs on pizza. Contrarian thinking is a hidden superpower. It turns disagreeing into problem solving and helps you uncover better paths than the herd can see. Number 4, detail obsession. You spend 30 minutes adjusting font size on a PowerPoint. Others think they're nitpicky, perfectionist. They have no life. What's actually happening is that you're chasing invisible patterns no one else notices until it matters. Micro-precision thinking is at work here. Geniuses know that small hinges swing big doors. For example, Steve Jobs was famously obsessed with the curvature of the edges of the original iPhone, something most would never notice. That tiny detail contributed to the sense of quality and elegance that defined the product. Your obsession with the font size, alignment, or wording is the same instinct. You're optimizing the little things that compound into excellence. When it goes too far, you're fixing commas while the building is on fire. Deadlines slip, priorities get lost, and others can't move forward because they're waiting on your input. If you always ignore this instinct, your work may appear sloppy, and opportunities to discover breakthroughs via subtle mastery can be lost. How to deal with it? Know when good enough is good enough. Save obsessive mode for what truly matters. Number 5, mess. Your workspace is a recycling bin, exploded. You've double booked yourself again, and your coffee cup teeters on a precarious pile of papers. To others, unprofessional, lazy slob. Reality, it's an external memory system. You know exactly where everything is. This is organized chaos, not just chaos. The underlying pattern, spatial indexing. Geniuses often use mess as 3D bookmarks. For example, Albert Einstein's desk was famously cluttered, yet he could find whatever he needed amid the chaos. For some, mess sparks creativity. Ideas pop when your environment is less rigid. When it goes too far, your organized chaos turns into actual chaos, like unpaid bills, losing your rent check, forgotten deadlines. On the other hand, spending too much time decluttering or enforcing a sterile setup can drain mental energy, slow creative flow, and make you less spontaneous. How to deal with it? Automate payments. Label the piles. Looks messy, but stays functional. Keep a chaos drawer where things can be quickly stashed when deadlines loom or visitors appear. Find a workable balance. Disclaimer. Mess alone is no guarantee of brilliance or achievement. It's simply a cognitive tool some geniuses find helpful. The key is functional chaos, not perpetual disaster. Number 6. Overexplaining. Your boss asks for a quick update on a project. You start, well, first we gathered data from 3 sources. Then we normalized it using these parameters because the baseline changed after last quarter, which is why we needed to adjust the projections. And on it goes. Or someone asks for the time and you launch into the history of clocks and the physics of pendulums. In other people's mind, why are you so long-winded? Don't you value other people's time? You're truly thick, or what? In reality, you're mapping the full logic tree, not just giving a shortcut. You want the listener to see not just the answer, but the reasoning that supports it. The underlying pattern here is full context thinking. Geniuses dislike half-truths and incomplete information because it can lead to mistakes or missed opportunities. They mentally simulate outcomes and want others to understand the why behind decisions. When it goes too far, people stop asking you anything. Your colleagues may start hiding questions, fearing that engaging you will cost them hours or at least make them feel stupid. When it is suppressed, you may provide only the headline version, which can backfire if critical context is missed. Projects may fail or misunderstandings pile up. How to deal with it? Give a heads up, say short version or long version. You can even start with a summary, then let listeners opt in for the full story. This preserves your thoroughness while respecting their time.
Number 7. Zoning out. You're staring out the window mid-meeting. You didn't hear half your partner's message as you zone back into reality. To others, checked out, not listening, disrespectful. What's actually happening? Your brain is running creative simulations. The underlying pattern, scenario generation. Geniuses prototype ideas in imagination first. Albert Einstein often zoned out, staring into space for long stretches. During these moments, he wasn't ignoring the world. He was running mental experiments. At 16, he imagined riding alongside a beam of light, moving at light speed, seeing the world frozen around him. That simple-seeming daydream helped spark his theory of special relativity, reshaping physics forever. Okay, we're not Einstein. When daydreaming goes too far, you forget where you parked, or that you even own a car. You lose things. But what happens if you suppress daydreaming altogether? Your brain loses its vital space for creative exploration. Ideas that would have emerged in idle moments stay stuck, and problem-solving becomes harder. How to deal with it? Take notes. Capture the dream before it floats away. And remember, zoning out isn't wasted time. It's practice for thinking differently.
Number 8. Forgetfulness. You forget birthdays, appointments, even what day it is. To others, you're careless, self-centered, you have dementia. What's actually happening is that your brain is pruning the irrelevant to focus on the big ideas. The underlying pattern is cognitive triage. Geniuses outsource memory to focus on meaning. When it goes too far, you forget the one thing you absolutely shouldn't, like picking up your kid from school, missing a critical deadline, or forgetting an important appointment. Suddenly, your mental pruning has backfired. But if you try to suppress forgetfulness by remembering everything, you risk overloading your brain. You become paranoid, hyper-focused on getting every detail right, and lose the mental space needed for big-picture thinking. Trying to hold every trivial fact in your head is exhausting and counterproductive. It defeats the very efficiency that selective memory provides. How to deal with it? Outsource memory to systems, calendars, alarms, sticky notes, or apps. The genius part isn't remembering everything. It's knowing what's worth remembering and what's better delegated to a trusted external system. This way, your mind stays free for ideas, insights, and creativity. Number 9. Speculative thinking. You're imagining a world where humans communicate only through dance, or redesigning the office as a spaceship. Ideas so outlandish no one else is paying attention. In other people's heads, why are they wasting time with nonsense? They'll never use that idea. Pointless daydreamer. What's actually happening is that your brain is exploring possibilities without immediate constraints. You're experimenting with extreme hypotheticals to test assumptions, spot weaknesses, and uncover unexpected connections. This is imagination in speculative mode, unanchored from reality, but mentally stretching boundaries. The underlying pattern is boundary-pushing thinking. Geniuses often explore absurd scenarios to discover novel insights, even if 99% of them never see real-world application. These thought experiments train creativity and problem-solving muscles. When speculative thinking goes too far, you spend hours in thought worlds with no connection to tasks at hand, miss deadlines, or alienate colleagues who expect practical contributions. But eliminate it, and you play it safe, rarely challenge assumptions, and may miss insights that could lead to breakthroughs. Fear of looking silly stifles innovation. How to strike a balance? Give yourself structured outlets. Schedule speculative sessions. Let your brain explore freely, but separate it from work-critical time so you stay grounded.
Number 10. Easily bored. You're yawning 5 minutes into small talk.
Rude.
Disinterested. Doesn't care.
What's actually happening is that your brain craves novelty and challenge. The underlying pattern is high stimulation threshold. Geniuses get restless without friction. Example, Leonardo da Vinci was famously easily bored. He would start painting one project, get distracted by anatomy, then switch to engineering designs, and then botany. That boredom wasn't laziness. It pushed him to explore multiple fields, making him the polymath we revere today. When it goes too far, you self-sabotage good opportunities just to escape monotony, quitting jobs, interrupting meetings, or leaving projects unfinished. When you suppress boredom by pretending interest, you get a headache. If you only do one thing, your brain is starved of stimulation and creativity stalls. If you keep overly busy, you lose the precious downtime, which is when your creative juices flow. Balance is key. Mine any situation for hidden depth. Ask better questions. Don't dismiss something as boring just because it seems simple. Mundane details or conversations often contain the spark for your next creative breakthrough. So there you have it, 10 so-called weird behaviors that might actually signal genius. Restlessness, difficulty settling on a single choice. Tendency to question or challenge consensus. Strong focus on minute elements. Cluttered environment. Providing more information than necessary. Losing focus. Frequent lapses in memory. Imagining absurd possibilities. Low tolerance for repetitive tasks. What looks like quirks are often hidden upgrades in disguise. Take them too far, and you're just the eccentric who folds napkins while arguing with yourself at 3 a.m. Yet trying to cure yourself of them makes you inauthentic, miserable, and lose your superpower. The trick? Balance. At the right dosage, these traits make you brilliant. So which of these secret signs of genius do you have? Has any gotten you into trouble? Let us know in the comments. Let's trauma bond. If this video helped, like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next video.